churches. They don't care about, no. Places of worship are not part of their, they know it or not. That is it. You see, that is it. The worship of phase one release, or what they call it, what? Phase one reopening. You say, what about churches and places of worship? They say, forget about that. That's not in phase one. It's not in phase two either. Then it's not in phase three. They say, we have 5 phases. By phase 5, we will think of it. We will think of it. You see, we are coming to a world that hates God, a world that, says, the wicked shall be turned into hell, and the nations that forget God. That's what the Bible says. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and the nations that forget God. Think of these nations that are forgetting God now. They don't, we're not even talking about it must be church. No. The nations where they don't want places for Hindu worship, they don't want it. They don't want the places for Islamic worship, they don't want it. They don't want Christian worship, they don't want it. They don't want any. No places of worship. The nations that forget God, he says, shall be turned into hell. Sad. Sad. So we've come to that point where even Christian leaders, even some who were Christians before they got into office, now they don't even care also. They're only listening to other voices. They say, leave church out first. Leave church out first. Do you know what you're saying? You're creating a hedonistic society. And when you leave God out and say no places of worship for God, what do you think will happen? You're creating the perfect environment for Satan's activities. That's what you're doing. No, you don't want to be here after the rapture of the church. You don't want to be here. No, 1,000 times no. You don't want to, you want to go on the first flight. You don't want to be here. Think. If they're doing this at a time where they know people believe in Jesus, people believe in God, irrespective of their religions. If at a time where they recognize this, they can despise places of worship in the guise of saving lives. It reminds us of the famous expression of the Nazis. Do this to save lives. They often told the people it was necessary. Their steps were necessary so that they could save lives. So they watched others carried away to their deaths to save lives. Let me tell you one of the things that happened by the Nazis. Somebody do something about that screen now. Now, I think that I will have to give it another day's subject because it's part of the eugenics. Okay? So I want to maybe leave that for another day's subject. What they did was in a bid to cleanse the Aryan race and get the best of the best, they hunted down all those people with disabilities, with some kind of deformities, some kinds of sicknesses. They were all hunted down and killed to perfect the Aryan race. I've warned about currently there are isolation centers. They're called isolation